The debate over whether to legalize recreational marijuana is hitting just about every state in our region, if not the country, and efforts in New York State continue. Now, minority lawmakers in the state are threatening to block it unless their communities see the benefits from it. Our Dominic Carter has the story.
Just months ago, legalization seemed to be all but a foregone conclusion. But African American and Latino lawmakers are saying not so fast.
We have our communities of color that were terribly impacted. The inequities of convictions related to marijuana were in black and brown communities. And so it would be inherently unjust and unfair for us as legislators, especially those that represent communities of color, to allow these large companies, these large investors, to benefit now after our kids were put in jail, have the scarlet letter of marijuana convictions.
The lawmakers are vowing they will not approve marijuana legalization this year unless the state has a plan in advance of how communities disproportionately affected by the war on drugs will benefit. Longtime New York City activist Bertha Lewis believes the lawmakers are right to stand their ground.
Equity has to be day one. What we have learned from other states is that there's a lot of rhetoric about diversity, a lot of rhetoric about being just for those communities that had been affected by the war on drugs and the, mass incarceration rhetoric. Unless it is written into the legislation day one, before you start spending revenue for subways, before you start spending revenue for the general fund, there must be substantial investment in communities of color who have borne the brunt.
10 states and the District of Columbia have legalized recreational marijuana. Now New York and New Jersey could join them. Elected officials and community leaders also want assurances that people of color will receive some of the licenses to sell marijuana. Officials say recreational marijuana could yield $772 million annually in tax revenue for the city and state. The governor's office declined to comment for this story. We met with some African American pastors from around the state. All 4 are against legalization of marijuana. Pastor Carl Washington is one of the most prominent African American pastors in the state. He's the pastor of the new Mount Zion Baptist Church in Harlem.
Let's say it passes and we legalize it. How do we keep 10, 11, 12, 13 years old from smoking it? We already know in this country, you can't keep them from drinking alcohol. You can't keep them from smoking cigarettes. Oh, well, there'll be a percentage given to the community to make the community better. How are we making the community better? By legalizing things that, not only are illegal, but immoral.
Reverend William Jillison is the pastor of Mount Olive, the largest African-American church in upstate Buffalo.
I wish that some of our lawmakers would understand and take a look at what's happening in Colorado, because it's being marketed not only in the form of weed where you smoke, there are also candy, donuts, pastry. How do we keep those kind of things out of the hands of our children? We don't.
Other pastors are concerned about once marijuana is legal, what will be the impact?
I feel they should block it, not just for now, but for continuation. It's supposed to be so that it would cut down our people from going to jail for minor charges, but now they will be going to jail or hospitals. And so pretty soon, underground opportunities to score marijuana will be available. But of course, it's not going to be of the highest grade. It's going to be cut with things that will be detrimental to their health.
Reverend Larry Camp is the pastor of Bethlehem Baptist Church in Brooklyn.
And if it strengthens the economy, well, that's one thing. But at the same time, again, what is it that they're selling within the context of marijuana? That's the thing. And what would be the after effect if those who engage in it and it's not really whatever is in that marijuana that's not good, but now you have another problem. Now you've okayed something that could possibly kill or be detriment to someone's health.
So at the end of the day, it's estimated this is a $3 billion a year business. And leaders are adamant this should not be about Wall Street or big business.
It would be very difficult, I'd say almost impossible, for me as a senator to vote for legislation that would legalize but did not have that component of economic benefits, money set aside for investment for young entrepreneurs in our communities to be able to benefit. The other component is restorative justice. All right, we have to seal records, we have to clear records of people that were convicted on marijuana convictions. Our communities, again, were impacted greater than any other community.
What appeared to be guaranteed to pass the legislature this year is in limbo. In the Bronx, I'm Dominic Carter. Andrew, let's go back to you in the studio.
We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this.